All right, welcome to episode 231 of the Legion of Reason Diversion. I am your host, the Supreme Irreverend Dr. Randy Tyson. This is May 6th, 2018, and I'm joined as usual by my lovely co-hosts, Twyla and Christine. And hello. Yeah, Christine's somewhere, I don't know what she's doing. But anyway, she'll be back in a sec. What do we got on the docket today? Well, Tim mentioned. Oh, you're there.
To adjust my sound because I'm hearing double.
Okay. and you're going to watch the YouTube and Facebook, right? Comments. And you should be watching. Everybody, watch us live. Come on. You can phone us. I'm going to turn off that because we're not going to take any calls yet. But not like we're going to get any. But we'll see. So Tim mentioned Cardinal Pell did indeed come home, and he is going on trial for, wait for it, sexually abusing a minor. Shocking surprise. There's news on the Laurier University front with, remember the Lindsay Shepherd debacle. They've produced a draft on free expression for the university, and that was released last week, and kind of in the same regressive left files mode. Duke University students that were emboldened by their victory of receiving no punishments for their antics in disrupting a fundraising event, alumni fundraising event, and therefore no harmful impact on their mental health. Like, really? They wonder why they get called snowflakes. It's just ridiculous. They're trying to get somebody punished for hate speech, and of course, well, what about their mental health, right? Kind of ridiculous. An atheist who in Saudi Arabia posted on social media about his lack of belief. Ahmad al-Shamri is slated for execution in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the heinous non-crime of expressing that. And we got a couple of other things. They're actually back into the Catholic Watch. There was a record lawsuit against the Catholic Church by someone who is now 68 but was abused upwards of 50 times. He has received $2.6 million in damages, and $500,000 was assigned as punitive damages. So big news on that front in Canada. This is in Ontario, Ontario Superior Court. And I know there's something else up here. The prom dress. Oh God, this is just
right. The
prom dress. This more regressive leftist nonsense. A woman or young woman who was going to her prom is accused of cultural appropriation for wearing an Asian style prom dress, which is just lovely. And I think she's taking it really, the heat that she's getting really, really well. I hope she does, hope she's, takes heart from all the tweets of support, etc. Because cultural appropriation is almost all bullshit. Okay.
The Chinese actually support her too.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. Not now. Anyway, how is everybody?
Really good.
Good?
Yeah,
really good?
Fine.
I was, I'm really good. Got my scotch here. And I was at this weekend was the Beer Fest, Calgary Beer Fest. It's the largest beer, craft beer, what do you call it, show or something, whatever. And, I was totally hosed. And I how many people can say that they got a haircut in an Airstream at a beer fest? This is my new haircut. My new haircut.
No, thanks.
It was actually, I think it's an awesome idea. This guy, he's spent a year refurbishing an Airstream, and he, it's got a couple of barber chairs in it, and they've got a couple of stylists, and he didn't think he was going to get any business that day. On Saturday, it was yesterday, and he got a lot, I think, and I just think it's a cool idea.
Drunk people.
Well, I mean, you got to do something while the beer's sort of settling. Had lots.
How does it work? Like those things you used to buy on TV, as sold on TV, kind of thing.
No. You know what an Airstream is,
right? Because I
had
a friend who used to love that.
You know what an Airstream is? Are you serious? Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It makes you look like
one length, and he just had one of those things, and he thought it was great.
It makes you look like what's his name, a Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. He's got the worst haircut. The worst haircut.
It depends on how your hair naturally goes and stuff like that. Because he didn't look like that. He just looked like he had a bit of a buzz cut or something, right?
No, you know what an Airstream is. Do you know what an Airstream is?
I don't think I do.
Oh, okay. An Airstream,
something that's like a vacuum.
No, not at all. An Airstream is a trailer. It used to be really big in the 50s and 60s. They had. It's actually coming back now. They're actually making them again. They're aluminum. Have you ever seen these trailers that are, like campers that are really shiny? They're all aluminum.
Okay.
And that's an Airstream. Okay. That's how you.
So he just set up shop in there. It wasn't anything.
And he hauls it around the city. Yeah, he hauls it around the city, and he's made it out in a really well done. Into a barbershop, a mobile barbershop. It's an awesome idea.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It is cool, and I support that kind of thing very, very strongly. And innovation is retro. It's very retro. It's before my time, the Airstream, but it's making a comeback actually. So they cost about $100,000 pop now. The new ones, he was telling me, and so he bought an old one and refurbished it. But yeah, I think it's a really neat idea, and it wasn't as unusual as you might think, because there was a lot of people there that are booths there that were dealing with mustaches. I don't get that. Like the mustache wax and stuff. The mass is apparently that's a big industry now. The mass.
My son's got into it with the beard and the mustache, and
no thanks.
He loves all that stuff.
No, I can't grow a mustache. I really can't. This is the most I've got, is this. And it was Cinco de Mayo yesterday, too. And I was thinking, gee, it'd be nice to get a tattoo of, like a Cinco de Mayo skull on my calf.
Oh, there.
And just piss off the social justice. Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, okay. Oh, Mayo. Okay. So
not Milo. I keep saying Milo. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo. Jeez. Why do I do that?
Almost like mayo, only mayo.
Yeah, it's mayo. But yeah, I want to do that. It'd be kind of cool. And get one on each calf.
I'm still trying to decide on a tattoo. I can't decide.
No.
You guys saw my most recent one?
Yes, I did.
It's very symbolic and cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Kira's got one too, of course.
Yeah.
Enigmatic.
Maybe my daughter will do that with me.
Yeah. It's a very enigmatic tattoo.
Yeah, it's not controversial. You're not gonna have someone glaring at you.
It's your logo, Randy.
No, it's missing a ring though. We got 4 rings. We have 4 rings on the Facebook page.
Oh, on the photography one?
No. On our Facebook page, it's only got 3 rings.
From the photography logo I designed from you, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my photography page.
Yeah, that's basically it, except I put the red circle to the front.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, and took away all the other elements, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, still your logo.
Cool.
But since I designed it, I figure 10% change.
All right. Oh, there was this other thing, too, the Health Canada. You remember that thing with the homeopathy? The rabid dog saliva homeopathy.
All right.
Sorry, we covered. Health Canada is investigating because it's an unlicensed homeopathic remedy. And so
the good thing is it'll do nothing.
Yeah. Well, you hope.
Stupid.
The premise is ridiculous.
Well, of course. I mean, kids that have behavioral problems really act like they're rabid? Seriously?
Like a
Seriously?
dog, yeah.
They're hydrophobic, and I mean, I know kids are kind of nasty, and I've never wanted any. I've never wanted any.
My son was a handful. He had Tourette's syndrome, and 50% of the kids with Tourette's get ADHD. Now, if I hadn't got him proper health care, help, proper behavioral therapy, if I had given him homeopathic remedies,
but what would be the homeopathic remedy? What would be the homeopathic remedy for Tourette's?
Well, they probably would have diagnosed him as a rabid dog. He was so hyper.
Oh no, but rabid dogs don't swear. I mean, did he actually swear?
No.
It's just
tics. Verbal tics are only they're like what 0.5% of Tourette's, but of course they're the most well known. His tics were with his eyes and his tongue and verbal, just noises. He made noises, and I was always so annoyed with his noises, but I didn't know he couldn't help it until I got him actual help. If I'd gone to a homeopath to address his noises, what would they have given me?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I'd be nothing, basically. Literally nothing.
I can't even imagine. I'm just glad I'm a skeptical parent, got him the right help. He graduated high school. He's got a good job. If he had been anybody else giving him all these woo-woo treatments, he would have got kicked out of school in grade 2.
Yeah, I'm just reminded of the guy in London, Ontario. This was a while back on the nature of things, and he was listening to an episode of Quirks and Quarks, which is a science radio program that's on every Saturday on CBC Radio at 12 noon. Cool. And I really got to get back to listening to that because it's such. Bob McDonald now hosts it, and he's really good. Anyway, he didn't know. He was a neurosurgeon, and he did not know anything about Tourette's. He'd never even heard of it. I mean, this is a few decades ago. And he realized he was a sufferer of Tourette's. He had very, very, very strong OCD. He was married. Yeah. I don't know how anybody can put up with it. It's incredibly, I don't know. But the OCD was just really beyond the pale, but when
25% get OCD.
Yeah, but he was in the operating room. Nothing, no OCD, no nothing. He was just focused, right? Focused.
Yeah, when they focus, they had some Tourette's kids on a talk show one time, and when the kids were performing tasks that required a lot of focus, like one she did hula hooping, and another did I don't know, juggling or something, and they had no tics while they were doing that. But the thing is, it's a leaky box system with their dopamine, and they'll build up to a certain point, and then they'll tic. So, but when they're actually performing tasks, it kind of levels out enough for a period of time. I mean, it's not. I don't know if he did surgery for 24 hours if he would not have a tic.
Yeah, I don't know how long it would last, but those calm periods. But it was interesting. Yeah. He had no idea. Yeah. And he learned about being a sufferer of Tourette's from listening to that program, and they profiled him on The Nature of Things, which is another CBC program. Cool. Yeah.
I'd never heard of it until my son got diagnosed. I had no clue what was going on with him. So, and then I felt really bad about bothering him about his noises the whole time when he actually could not help it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least you have the benefit now of science and having, the ability to correct that and, feel bad about it and express that to him, right?
You can't really correct the tics or the OCD or the ADHD.
No, I'm saying that you corrected how you
handled it,
viewed him, and that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
And then he went into a smaller class size, and he got his own helper.
Is there any medication which reduces the tics?
Not the tics. Just maybe it'll address, like a really low dose of risperidol can level up the dopamine to a point where it's not. Where the kid isn't as distractible, where the kid is more able to focus and be on the planet, but it won't get rid of the tics. They kind of, my son grew out of the tics around 13, 14. But he still has the occasional one, just not as often. But they kind of, most of them kind of grow out of it, but obviously not everyone does.
Yeah, I took a class in university, obviously university or whatever, and one of the students had Tourette's, and she just basically stood up in front of the class on the first day or whatever and explained her situation, and she did in fact have an episode where she started making noises and stuff like that, and she, we were all, like, okay, this is, yeah.
Yeah,
once you know what's happening.
Exactly.
But my son never wanted to tell anyone either. So.
Oh, that's there is
but imagine
a
if
lot
it
of
was an
stigma
era where that would be treated as like something you'd get, I don't know, exercised from you or something. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like now we have the benefit of knowledge, and
well, I don't believe in judging somebody on their immutable characteristics. It's that I think that's ridiculous, and. And Tourette's is an immutable characteristic. It's, and so I know there was somebody that was involved in CFI when she was here. She's since moved away. And, I've noticed these tics, and I'm just asked about it. Oh, and she says Tourette's. I'm like, oh, okay. I knew what Tourette's was, and it's like, no big deal.
But if you don't know, like when I was about 15.
Well, that's true. A lot of people
15, don't. I had surgery, like orthodontal surgery. And I was in the children's ward because I guess, once you're over 16, they put you in the adults ward. And there was a kid who was probably about 12 or 13, and he was running around barking.
Yeah.
I had nothing. I had no idea what, any of this was or whatever. And he scared the shit out of me. I mean, I just went to my room. I didn't, but I thought he was angry at me, because he was barking at me, or insulting me or something. I'd never heard of Tourette's, so I'm like,
could have very well been a tic.
Oh, I have no doubt now.
Some of the kids jump.
In hindsight, I have no doubt.
You know what? One of the biggest, probably one of the biggest forms of awareness of Tourette's is probably that episode of South Park where Cartman pretended to be Tourette's so he could swear at people. God, that was funny. Swear. Yeah, that was funny.
Some do. Some do. I remember hearing a story about a guy who's actually a DJ that managed to keep it under control to, work his shifts, and so people can cope with it.
Adults are able to control it a bit better than if you're under 13.
Yeah, I suppose so. Or maybe not.
For the most part, symptoms. For the most part, symptoms improve because they have a brain change around in the teenage years. The brain changes for the boys. The women get it a little later, but the brain kind of reorganizes, and it usually at that time becomes less severe.
That's interesting.
I had to learn about all that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're kind of far afield. It's, I suppose it does have some.
Don't get woo-woo for Tourette's.
Yeah.
You're a growling kid.
Well, the barking dog thing was pretty apropos, but the rabid dog. But come on.
Yeah. But when I said that, in hindsight, the kid had Tourette's, my mom and dad saw him too, right? So it's kind of like, oh, now we know about this thing.
Yeah.
So,
well, the other the thing that I don't, this story, oh no, it's unlicensed. I mean, seriously, folks, this is homeopathy. This shouldn't be licensed at all. This should be.
Yeah.
Why are we allowing this?
That kid.
This is missing the point. Yeah, exact. Yeah. Well, okay.
Or he was just having a bad day or a week, or with a young child like that. I mean, my son had to be in the hospital for 6 months straight to get a diagnosis. 6 months straight, home on the weekends. Wow. So.
Well, kids are kids. I mean, it's like, when a long time ago was that one where where they were doing the tests with vials of things, and this kid had behavioral problems, and it's like, it sounds like the kid was being a kid, and
probably. A boy, a hyper boy.
Sure, Maybe just bad parenting is probably more of the problem. If the kid is really being, acting out, etc. I mean, it sounds like bad parenting.
Yeah, well, if they're
no medication
prone
for that.
to get woo-woo products instead of addressing the behavior.
Yeah. Cognitive behavioral therapy, that's what you use. That's the gold standard, not this homeopathic crap. I mean, stop it. I hated when this law came in. And this is before I identified as a skeptic. And this is when the government of Canada was kind of legalizing this stuff, making it, giving it a kind of a rubber stamp of approval, which I just can't stand. This is not something we should be approving. This is something we need to get rid of. The Green Party has this as part of their platform for healthcare. I mean, you've got to be kidding me.
Really?
Yeah, that's crazy.
As a parent, I had to go learn how to parent a child with Tourette's. If you're getting homeopathy for that or anything else, Green Party, what the hell are you thinking this is for? You're not going to get legitimate treatment that way for anything.
Or evidence-based treatment. Yeah.
You're not going to help people. You're going to, some could die because they're not getting cancer treatment in time. That's what happened to that famous Apple owner guy. Sorry, I forgot his name.
I know. I was thinking of him too. And
now I've forgotten. Thanks a lot. Steve Jobs. There you go. Steve Jobs.
Yes.
Yeah, he'd be alive. He'd probably be alive today.
Yeah. If he got
not a certainty
in time.
But 80%, I think his remission rates was. So what's the penalty for unlicensed natural health products? It's 3 years in prison or $5,000 up to $5,000 in fines. $5,000 is nothing. I mean, it's really.
Yeah.
But Health Canada is investigated. I love this. All homeopathic remedies are made according to strict standards. They all follow the same basic procedure. Yeah, they do, because you dilute the shit out of them till there's nothing there. And it does nothing. There's no water memory. There's no evidence for water memory. Yeah.
Pure placebo effect, which means you could use anything. Yeah. You could use sugar water.
They dilute it, 10 to the 20 to the power 23?
It depends on the
Avogadro's number.
Yeah. Well, it gets to the point where you can't find a single molecule
left.
Yeah.
In a you would have to actually fill a volume up to the size of the universe, the visible universe, before you found a molecule of the active ingredient. And what do you want the active ingredient? It's rabies.
No.
What the hell?
Rabies or duck. It was the flu.
Oxylococcinum.
The homeopathic flu remedy is made from a duck liver infected with bacteria.
Oh, God.
Yeah, well, it's a whole story behind the oxylococcinum that is just ridiculous. I mean, if you read up on oxylococcinum and boron and their nonsense. Yeah.
They didn't know the difference between viruses and bacteria when they came up with the thing, so they mistook it for a bacterial infection.
It's a denial of the germ theory of disease. It's a total denial. It's nonsense. It even on its face, it has no plausibility. All we can do is say, look, this doesn't work, and here's the evidence saying that this doesn't work. We can't do any more than that. If people choose to continue to do so, that's on them. Caveat emptor. Move on. But when you do that for kids,
we talk about these things.
That's a problem. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When we do that for kids,
absolutely.
Kids are not property. You don't own kids.
Not guinea pigs.
You're a custodian, and you have to provide the gold standard of healthcare, which doesn't involve, by the way, homeopathy. It's anyway.
Particularly not rabbit dog homeopathy.
That's like.
And the ridiculous thing here is that we have like universal health care that covers proper medical care. And if you're doing homeopathy and that kind of shit, you're probably like spending a shit
There's a
ton of
reason we
money
don't
on
fund it.
Nonsense.
Yeah, there's a reason
until
we
the
don't fund
Greens make it covered. Great.
Ugh.
Well, let's just say there's one MP who is a Green, and that's all they'll ever have, because that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the anti-science position of the Green Party. I mean, it's just, we want to go to pipelines. And well, she was Elizabeth May. No.
Yeah, she got arrested.
Is it Elizabeth May?
Really?
I get yeah, she did. She got arrested for protesting the pipeline, whatever Morgan pipeline, the
Keystone.
Kinder Morgan.
yeah, Kinder Morgan.
Okay.
Kinder.
But
Keystone's a different
they
one.
were protesting in an area that was prohibited, so they got arrested. They're allowed to protest, just not where they were.
Yeah, exactly. And I keep getting confused between the British Prime Minister and this Green Party MP. Is it the same name?
No.
Elizabeth May
versus, I forget.
Yeah.
Come on.
But it's not the same. I'll look it
Somebody put it in the comments. I can't remember what. I know it's May. Her last name is May. And yeah. Anyway, besides, I've got.
It's Theresa May.
Theresa May. Ah, yeah. Okay, so I get confused between the two all the time. I do this. Maybe I have a.
They're so
something.
extremely opposite too. One's like a conservative, and she's like
a nut bar. Yeah, exactly, a nut bar.
They're both nuts in their own ways, but on different sides of the spectrum.
We're done. I think we're done with this topic. Let's get away from this homeopathic crap. I mean,
hey, by the way, are we on Facebook? Running on Facebook Live?
Yes, we are.
I shared it, but
okay.
Yeah, we are running on Facebook and YouTube. And if you're not watching, you're listening to this on iTunes. Why are you listening on this on iTunes? Because you could be involved in this discussion. You know, you could phone in. We're live right now,
right.
But not when you're listening to this on iTunes, because that's recorded. Isn't that profound?
Oh, there we are. Okay.
Anyway, should we go to the Regressive Left Files or the Catholic Watch? What do we want to do?
Regressive Left. It's more involved.
The Regressive Left Files.
Cool, the Regressive Left Files. What we got? We got Laurier University, and they've released a draft statement on free expression. Apparently in January, the university named 13 people to a task force. What a great name for that, right? It's like a committee. It's more bureaucracy in a university that doesn't need more bureaucracy. But anyway. They named 13 people. None of them, I checked, were the parties involved in the actual incident with Lindsay Shepherd, where the whole Inquisition and intimidation and threat group, Rambucana, and etc. I can't remember what their diversity officer was. Awful people, just awful people. There's no evidence that these 3 people were ever punished for their intimidation tactics. It was an thank you, Lindsay Shepherd, for recording that thing, because this would never have come to light.
Yeah.
So back
Hopefully,
in January,
other people are recording things too. Like in a previous episode, I mentioned a friend who shall remain anonymous who is subject to a similar.
A friend.
That's right. I'm not going to say that person's name or gender or anything to do with that.
Which of the 19 or 31 genders are they? That's a whole other, can of worms. There are 2 genders. Anything else, I have no idea what it means. That's all I'll say. And I won't feed a delusion either. People that want to transition to, from male to female, fine. I can, have you seen Ricky Gervais's Humanity?
No.
You have got to see it.
Bits and pieces of it.
You've got to see it. Okay. It's funny because he's like, I would never dead name, what's her name, Jenner? I never do that. And of course, he spends the next half hour dead naming her.
What's that?
He spends the next half hour dead naming her. It's hilarious. It's awesome. It's ridiculous. The person had that name, Bruce Jenner, for 50 goddamn years. You're supposed to just ignore that. Pretend it didn't happen. It's just nonsense. Gervais gets it beautifully. He understands. He gets it. Anyway.
And Bruce Jenner was it?
Sorry, huh? Go ahead.
Well, that guy's a little off. I mean, he was a Trump fan. And
no. You don't say.
Even after
her. Caitlin. Come on.
Just don't let her drive.
Caitlin, that's the name now? Sorry.
Caitlin Jenner. Yeah. I wouldn't misgender her. I wouldn't. Why?
Human, whatever.
Misgender her, but the person...
he's...
How long have they been Caitlyn Jenner, and how long were they...
Well, probably they've actually been Caitlyn Jenner for a very long time, but it's only in recent, years.
I don't know. Sorry. You go by Bruce Jenner for 50 years. You went by Bruce Jenner for 50 years. You don't ignore that.
I get it, but now it's, he also went through a period of time when that was totally unacceptable. People didn't talk about that kind of thing, right? What's her name?
No, it doesn't change anything.
The wife, whatever her name is, Kris Jenner? Is she Jenner?
The ex-wife.
I don't know.
But she's in her 20s.
The wife? No.
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner's ex-wife.
Oh, his new one.
Chris something.
Her new one.
I don't even know.
I don't follow this gossip column stuff, so you're going to have to tell me.
That's why I don't understand this.
I know that on Facebook.
Sure.
I know that his ex-wife, I think her name's, I know her first name is Chris, duh. But I think it's Jenner. I think it's Chris. And she's I don't know. But anyway, she knew a long time ago because he was, dressing at home and stuff like that, like a woman and that sort of thing, right? So this isn't anything new to her.
But right? It doesn't change the fact that Bruce Jenner was her name for 50 good years. Doesn't change it.
Sure, and that is
you can't ignore that.
A cultural icon. I think it's a lot harder if you're, say in your early 20s or something like that to move on, and you're not famous or anything like that. But if you're famous, why should Caitlyn be sort of subjected to the sort of ridicule that we wouldn't give to somebody who
because she can't drive,
ageist as well, almost, right?
I don't ridicule her for her sexual choices and changes. I ridicule her for her Trump vanity.
Well, that too.
Being a Trump fan after all of that bigotry of his.
I just love Ricky Gervais, what he was talking about. There was this big controversy because he was dead naming her. And one magazine said, well, maybe Caitlyn Jenner should host the Oscars. And he said, sure, fine. Just don't let her drive. It's hilarious. The whole you know that Caitlyn Jenner ran over somebody, right? Right.
Okay.
That was the whole joke. You spend about a half an hour building up to this. It's hilarious. You have to watch it. I mean, I know
lacking context.
You're lacking context. No, you're just lacking common knowledge about Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
It was. I loved it.
Celebrities much either.
Yeah, I don't either. But I did kind of hear that on the peripheries. But I just love. I stopped. I think I said it a couple episodes ago. I said I stopped halfway through because oh goodness, my wife has to watch this too. So Rhonda and I watched it. She's loved it. It was hilarious. But you got these people that he's making transphobic jokes. I'm like, you people are idiots. Just stop. You're killing comedy. And Ricky Gervais is giving you a middle finger, and you are just giving him ammunition. Keep going. Well, you know what? Don't stop. Keep going. Keep going, because you're giving him ammunition. Good luck. He doesn't give a damn about what you people think, and that's the proper attitude when it comes to that kind of crap. I just don't care.
Well, comedy is so important too for social issues and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, could you imagine comedy if it was PC? There would be. Here's what laughter would sound like. Yeah, right.
No, it would be like this. I'm doing jazz hands.
They're doing jazz. I can't see that. No one can see that. What the hell?
I know. I was silent for a moment. I actually wasn't, but you get my point.
Yeah. I get your point. Yeah. Anyway, so I read. It simply wouldn't exist. I read through this whole thing with this is from CBC. I read through it. It's pretty reasonable. The problem is, when it comes to hate speech, I hate speech laws. I really do, because one person's hate speech is another person's free speech, and it's so subjective. There are limits, and that is when you incite to violence against a demographic.
Yeah,
that is beyond, or actually inciting to violence. Period. Okay, but what people call hate speech today is ridiculous. I mean, people say that dead naming Caitlyn Jenner is hate speech, and it's like, no, stop it, get over it. You don't get to bubble wrap yourself. I'm tired of that. Life is going to chew you up and spit you out, and good for life, because that is the ultimate teacher. But that's my ageist sentiments. Totally different. I don't understand this generation. I don't know.
Get off of my lawn.
Get off of my lawn. It's gone too far. Like political correctness used to be about real things. Nah, not anymore. It's just stupid. Anyway, it basically just says, you can say whatever you want unless you break the criminal code, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
And you let the courts work out what is or is not hate speech.
Did you heard about the guy from Scotland, Count Dankula?
Yeah, Count Dankula. Yeah. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's scary, ridiculous.
He's appealing.
We talked about it, actually, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We talked about it. He's appealing. And I should say so, because, oh my gosh, that's just Ricky Gervais came out in support of Count Dankula. Mm-hmm. Amongst many other comedians. Because seriously, that's a wet blanket being thrown on comedy. It's
for sure
worse than that. Actually, it's
it's government censorship. Well, but
they don't
have the
Yeah, they don't have free speech.
We're their Commonwealth country too, so
they're not a constitutional. They're a common law system with a monarchy, and there's no constitution in Britain which governs free speech. And here in Canada, it's the Charter of Rights and Freedoms would cover that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it covers freedom of religion, which I don't agree with. Should be freedom of belief, because freedom of religion is too broad. A friend of mine at the Alberta Civil Liberties, I want to say ACLU. It's not ACLU. It's something else, but it's something like ACLU for Alberta here. And he said, it should have been freedom of belief. I like that, because he's got it right, because belief is personal, but you don't get to do things to other people.
I think I'd like freedom of and from religion.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, because it explicitly acknowledges that I'd
like a separation of church and state. Yeah, I'd like a separation of church and state, though that is now kind of, but the Supreme Court now kind of recognizes that there's an expectation of the separation of church and state, and they act accordingly. So de facto it's there, but it's not enshrined in our charter. Okay, yeah, that's enough of that. More regressive left stuff. Oh, yeah. This is from The Chronicle. This is at Duke University with those students that took over that alumni thing, yeah. Fundraising. You'd think that the university would be like, hey, you are screwing with our bottom line. But no, they just said, no, it's okay, and we're not going to punish you. Are you kidding me? The first thing that people go to, that these students went to, is protest. No, it's not to the university. No, it's not to administration. It's protest. They're hijacking a function which is there to raise money for the university. I hope they got hit with a massive drop in funds. I really do. Like MISU. They took a major hit in enrollment, 30% down this past year. And good. People are taking notice of what's going on campuses. Yeah. So they're talking, some student made a racial, we have no idea what was said. But anyway, a racial epithet on Snapchat. And then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose. Oh, you have to crack down on hate speech on campus. Well, first of all, we have no idea what the tweet said. To those who believe that colleges and universities should prohibit free speech. Oh, this was the one of the people at the university said, to those who believe that colleges and universities should prohibit hate speech, I encourage you to read this. Blah, blah, blah. Freedom of expression protects the oppressed far more than the oppressors, which I think is true. And then there's this 17-year-old little punk, Henry Washington, former president of the Black Student Alliance, said in a tweet, I think telling students who are asking you to do something about being targets of hate speech to go read a book is intellectually dishonest and ethically irresponsible. What the hell do you know, kid? Grow up. Yeah. Grow up.
And that statement about, can you repeat that again? It was, free speech serves the oppressed more than the oppressors.
Free speech.
That's the point.
Yes.
That's the point of free speech, is to give the oppressed a voice.
A voice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, to put it in context, I have the original tweet here.
You do? Oh, cool. Good. Go ahead.
Somebody got drunk. They were totally drunk.
I don't
so the first image in the post contained a hand holding a bottle of alcohol and the caption, "Howdy, I'm a nigger." The second image showed two men holding bottles of alcohol and the caption, "Just kidding, I'm not a nigger." So this was taken down. The poster apologized, and it seemed to me like everything should be kosher. I mean, even that gentleman that you guys are speaking about now posted this apology. Larry Mineta, we are aware of a posting that appeared on a Duke student's Facebook site that used deeply offensive and racist terminology. Though the language itself may not be in violation of any Duke policies on speech and expression, we nonetheless find its use to be deplorable. So not only was the post taken down, not only did the poster apologize, but Larry Mineta gave that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like we talk about the consequences of free speech. You know, that person's going to be shamed and shunned for that for probably a very long time to come.
It wasn't a huge deal. It really wasn't. I mean, if that's the worst thing that happens to you today, seriously, you could be hit by a bus.
And there were consequences.
It's shitty.
Sure, there were cons. Yeah, it's shitty. It is, absolutely.
But, you say shit like that.
But it's just words.
The internet is going to come down on you like I don't know, whatever, vultures, right?
Yeah.
And
if you're out yourself as an idiot,
then good.
But
well, it was just a stupid post, the most stupid, drunk, stupid. Why would you even do that? I mean, ugh, grow up, guys.
Dumb.
But
Yeah,
they took it
absolutely.
down and they apologized.
And they did the right thing. But they must be punished. They must be given the greatest possible punishment must be meted out for, even a tweet. That's ridiculous.
He had them.
But nothing can happen, should happen to people who disrupt a fundraising event with alumni who were really pissed off about having their event hijacked by a bunch of little brats.
Yeah, the hypocrisy.
I'm sorry,
there.
serious? Excuse me? Yeah, no kidding. One is a tweet. It's just words. The other probably cost the university a lot of money. And I hope it did. Mm-hmm. Especially after not punishing them. Sheesh. What the hell? What? It's the tail wagging the dog. I keep saying this. It's the tail wagging the dog. And it's got to stop. I would have thought that if a university's bottom line was being threatened, that something would be done. But hey, it happens. I'm wrong. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. What do they have to do before something is done? What do they have to do?
Oh, and was I not supposed to say the N-word? I was told I shouldn't say it, but that's what the tweet said, and I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm bad at this.
It's what the tweet said.
How did you hear that?
Yeah. Good
Okay.
catch, actually. Good
I'm
catch.
following
I miss
the Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
So you must have gotten that directly to you.
You're not black.
I got in trouble at work for saying it just because I said you're not supposed to say that word, and it was like, oh, but you just said it, and I'm like, I'm saying you don't say it as a white person, but you just said it. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Context. Yeah.
Yeah, context matters, like, but not to social justice warriors. Apparently, it's just, yeah. But you know what? The university official who said go read this was actually being helpful. Maybe you should read that.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
Maybe you should.
And didn't violate.
like
It didn't violate their policy. It just didn't.
Not at all.
I mean, if you want to start cracking down on every little thing, then I'm sorry, but you won't be able to, like, say KKK or something in return. I mean, if you're going to get rid of all so-called hate speech, you're not going to be able to say some things yourself.
Are you stuttering?
It just gets driven underground too.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. Who was it? There was a British. I was watching something on YouTube a little while ago. It was a British comedian. I really quite enjoyed his stuff, and he was saying that I don't want this stuff being pushed down. I want to be able to use my own free speech to argue with that person.
Yeah.
And that's
And
the
if
way
they
it
want
should
to
be.
out themselves, well, good. They'll have to accept the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to be told what I can and cannot listen to. Maybe I'd like to go to a controversial speech and stand up there at that mic and challenge the idiot that's speaking.
Well, that was the final push for me watching the latest Ricky Gervais Netflix special because it was somebody saying, "Oh, don't watch this because he's telling a transphobic joke," and I'm like, right, I think I'm watching it now.
I wanted to announce it too. Come on.
No, I just think that I'm seeing this, member of the Church of the Perpetually Offended. These people are just so they're offended on behalf of people who never asked them to be offended. That's what really bugs me.
Just like the girl with the prom dress.
Hey, nice seg. I love it. Oh, awesome job, Twy. You're just on fire tonight. Anyway, this is from BBC Trending. Prom dress prompts cultural appropriation row. Oh my God! I mean, here, high school students' prom pictures have generated a furious debate online. No, I don't think that's a debate. That's not what I call a debate. When one side has no points, there's no debate. Okay, there's no points for cultural appropriation. It's bullshit. They accused.
Well, it's not bullshit in the sense that some people do enjoy sharing their culture. I love.
Yeah, and that's what the Chinese ended up saying.
And that's all I've ever encountered. People want to share their culture if you have an honest interest in it. I've known lots of people who are not white. Hey, did you see? Okay, Lalo Dagech, previous guest on our podcast, posted something that I couldn't believe, and somebody said, "Has anybody ever noticed all the white people speaking non-white languages?"
What? Oh my God! What is a white language?
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah,
what is it?
or something like that? Yeah.
I'm just like, no, this can't be real. I'm just like, I'm ashamed for humanity.
Yeah.
That's like when Christians try to say, logic came from God, so you can't use the language of, you're stealing our language and stuff.
So somebody said about this, somebody named Jeremy Lamb, I guess he was very offended, saying, "My culture is not your prom dress." Well, you're right. It's not a prom dress. It's a culture. What she's wearing is a prom dress.
Yeah.
Okay? Oh, man. And I'm sure that the people who sold her that dress were happy to sell that dress. They were happy that somebody who was not Asian was interested.
It's called the QIPAOS. How do you say that? Capao? What?
What?
Quipa? Oh, good Lord. The dress, like the Chinese mentioned.
Okay, spell that again. Spell that again. Spell it again.
QIPAOS. How would you say that?
Kipaus.
Okay.
Or cheap house, actually, because Q is often pronounced like CH.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you want to hear what they said about it, they said these days it's rare to see Chinese women wearing that in the street. Western fast fashion has taken over, though the dress has made something of a comeback among some official figures, like the country's First Lady, Peng Liyuan.
Who was it? Was Beyonce who was criticized for wearing something? I can't remember. In a video. Oh, it was an Egyptian thing. Was it an Egyptian thing? Something like that. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of pop culture, even though I actually watch movies, unlike Christine. Or TV.
The Chinese stipulated it is not sacred. It is not meaningful, said Han Huang, a Beijing-based writer and fashion blogger in an interview. Nowadays, if you see a woman wearing the dress, she's probably a waitress in a restaurant or a bride.
So what?
The uproar surrounding the prom dress highlights America's growing and increasingly complex conversation about race. However, they don't mind. They really don't care.
No, they don't. And the people that care are actually the real racists.
Yeah.
They really are. Somebody was commenting on that. That these people that complained. It was on the Facebook page. That they're the real racists, and I totally agree. Yeah, they are. Social justice warriors are the worst racists on the planet.
And then the Chinese go on about diversity. They appreciate it.
There's a huge diversity of culture in China.
This conversation too is there's a word baizu. I'm probably mispronouncing it. According to I'm just looking online here. According to political scientist Zhang Chenchen, a Chinese word that ridicules Western liberal elites.
Well, awesome. The word gaijin in Japanese, round eye. There you go. Guaylo. Okay. Guaylo is round eye. Gaijin is just foreigner, I guess.
Like particular to Americans who are ignorant of their cultures outside their own kind of thing, right?
They're ignorant of cultures within their own borders.
Yes.
Not all of them. No, not all of them. Hey, come on.
Perhaps.
I'm not going to...
North Americans, that should maybe be more fair and include Canada in there too. Yeah,
Canadians are pretty
Americans
ignorant of things.
And Canadians.
Sure. Yeah.
Not Mexicans.
I can't really crow about that kind of thing, but yeah.
Which?
Our knowledge of...
yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, there's a quote by Ms. Dom in here too. She says, "It says she's overwhelmed with the sudden wave of both praise and condemnation, but is not backing down." She says, "To everyone who says I'm ignorant, I fully understand concerns and views on my dress." She wrote on Twitter, "I mean no harm. I am in no way being discriminative or racist. I'm tired of all the backlash and hate when my only intent was to show my love."
Yeah, good for her. You know, I just cannot stand these people who look for they are the oppressors. Okay, tell me that these people who are social justice, I'm going to call them what they are. They're social justice warriors. I don't care if that's a pejorative. They've earned that pejorative. Okay, these people are the worst oppressors of all, and you know the problem. They're also racist. The problem is, and there was something I commented on the Facebook page, was that the difference between overt racists and social justice warriors tends to be that social justice warriors do not understand that they are actually racist. Racists who are anti-black, but they're fully aware that they are racist. But
yeah, the bigotry of low expectations.
Yeah, it's the bigotry of lowered expectations. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And they're awful people. They're just awful people. I'm tired of them. I'm done with them.
Well, they're bullies. This woman did nothing wrong.
They are oppressors. They do not get that. They don't care. I wish I was on Dan Errol's Twitter feed. But I'm blocked, unfortunately. He's one of the worst. Just an awful person, awful human being. But anyway, where are we going? So we can go to.
He got smoked pretty good, though.
Oh, what? Saying that I believe victims of sexual assault, and then Zhao Zhu, who a Singaporean. Twitter sensation, said Dan Harrell raped me. And it's like, oh my god, block her, blah blah blah. It's like, excuse me, didn't you just say that you believe a victim is a sexual assault? I believe victims of sexual assault too. It just has that you have to actually establish that someone is a victim of sexual assault.
Yep.
I'd make no apologies for that.
I'm not a lawyer, so that's not for me to work out, but if a friend came to me and told me that, of course I would.
Because that person has a track record with you, okay? If that person has a track record with you of being truthful, fine. If you had a friend who was not truthful, you might be a little more skeptical about it.
That's very true. Yeah.
And if you do not know a person, well, let's say take an example of Melody Hensley.
Lacking credibility.
She is totally deserving. She is the author of her own lack of credibility. I mean, she's got a history of her own, and that's why I don't buy the BuzzFeed thing at all. It's totally uncritical. That whole BuzzFeed thing was just ridiculous, but.
Yeah, I just think, if you call that journalism, I think you need to revisit something written by Hitchens and see if he'd put his name to that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the States. The States doesn't have a standard of journalism at all.
That's true.
Well, if the standards have slipped so low that, maybe there's other pieces that are more legit, but that particular piece, there's no defense saying that, BuzzFeed is a reliable journalistic source.
Well,
not in that instance. Like I said,
that's right.
You think Hitch would put his name to that?
They went looking for people who they put feelers out, obviously, to find people who would say something bad against Lawrence Krauss. I'm sorry, that's not journalism.
Was formerly associated with CFI, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and I can't remember if employee or intern or what the hell, but
CFI is kind of dead in Calgary. CFI is kind of dead in Calgary.
But I do believe Christina Rad's
For good reason.
Christina Rada posted something, and I do believe her. Like she explained everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she
in
has a track
very
record
nuanced
too.
and way, right? Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, where are we going from here? We got the Duke students done. We've done the students. We've done the BBC thing with the prom dress.
The words, Randy.
Yeah, we should have something at the end of the year for the worst.
We didn't do the students.
What?
Oh. Yeah, we did. The Duke students? Yeah, we did.
I'm saying do. The word we did them is kind of...
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You mean do in the sexual innuendo type thing.
It just sounded funny. I'm sorry.
We didn't do the students. No, okay. Yeah. Good thing I'm not a professor at a university, because I'd probably be. Hey, you just said you did students. I'd be screwed. Oh, wait a minute. That's you can't use that word either. Fucked.
Messed up.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. We got to go here. We're gonna go to this.
Catholic Watch.
It's now time for the Legion of Reasons
Catholic Watch, baby. We got that. Yep. Good. Catholic Watch. Cardinal Pell to stand trial in abuse case. Yeah. So Cardinal Pell apparently came home. Tim mentioned, you know the Tim Minchin song, Cardinal Pell Come Home. Yeah.
No.
You don't know that? Oh.
Wow,
Okay.
something that I know that Twyla doesn't. It's pop culture.
Yeah, pop culture.
Pop culture.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so Cardinal Pell will stand trial in at least one charge. One charge? After being accused of sexually abusing multiple victims decades ago. God, I hate Cardinal Pell. I really do. He's a smarmy son of a bitch. Did you ever see that thing that they had on TV?
Guilty.
Well, of course he did. That's normal. I don't blame him for that. But did you ever see that thing between him and Richard Dawkins a number of years ago?
No.
Yeah,
I'm writing all this stuff down.
Wait, go to YouTube.
Dawkins.
Yeah, go to YouTube and look up Cardinal Pell and Richard Dawkins. When Dawkins was down under in the land of Oz, he kind of went head to head on a TV show with Cardinal Pell, and Cardinal Pell was just a douchebag. Anyway. So apparently, I mean, there's been a number of accusations against Cardinal Pell of this kind, but some of the charges have been thrown out. But at least one he is going to stand trial for. And of course, yes, he did plead not guilty. And so for 2 weeks prior to this, victims or alleged victims testified via video link, and it was interesting. This is they gave a lot of deference to potential victims. They were testifying via video from a remote location, and everything was closed to the media and public. There were like 40 police officers outside of the courtroom. Yeah, this just doesn't end, right? This is all a long time ago. We haven't even heard about anything recent, and I don't know. Has anybody ever heard anything about the Catholic Church changing how they operate? Like a school, right? Schools have changed. You don't have meetings with students, teachers meeting students behind closed doors. Doors are always open. There's precautions, right? And it's not just for, keeping things open. It's also for the protection of teachers. It's in the interest of teachers to never have students in your office behind closed doors. That'd be because too easy, right? But what
I
about?
would guess it would depend on what country you're in, and because I like we have a Catholic system here, and I would expect that they would more or less, behave in a secular way because they're probably funded.
Yeah, well, you would expect that in Australia
on
too.
An issue like that, right?
You would expect that in Australia as well, but the recent committee that looked at allegations of sexual abuse within the Catholic Church in Australia, they came up with a similar number to the United States. The United States, it's about 6% of priests are pedophiles. And in Australia, they found that it was about 7%. So, yeah, why would you... Seriously, even if... Okay, let's say you're Catholic. Would you trust any priest with your kid with a slightly less than 1 in 10 chance that this priest is a pedophile? Yeesh. That's huge. That's way above the population, at large.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just me. I mean, I do have an anti-Catholic bent, of course, but there was a whole...
I'm trying to think of anything good they've contributed to society. Pretty hard pressed there.
From a historical perspective, they had the money to start universities. They had the money to start hospitals. And
I guess I'm thinking like more recently.
Yeah, well, no.
Yeah.
Recently,
last 100 years or so.
They're useless. Okay.
Yeah.
Europe, you get married in a Catholic church because that's just what you do. But typically, people don't believe in Europe anymore. It's gone. It's not belief; it's just culture. So they're cultural Catholics, or Lutherans, or whatever. But they don't believe. Yeah. It's just something you do. What else we got here? Yeah, fairly recently, Pell was actually appointed by Pope Francis to a very high position within the Vatican. And that was over the complaints of potential victims of Cardinal Pell.
Jeez.
Yeah, I think that was a bad move. I don't know of anything that the Catholic Church has ever done to prevent any further sexual misconduct. I can't think of it.
There's been rhetoric about it.
There was a...
But...
No, mostly it's dealing with the past. It's assuming that things are hunky-dory now. I'm sorry, these pedophiles didn't go anywhere. They're still there. Okay?
Yeah.
So what are you doing to prevent, like I said, secular schools have protocols in place. You just don't have meetings behind closed doors. And that protects everybody. So, yeah. Well, anyway, that leads us into this recent case in Canada. Where is it? Ontario jury sets record punitive award against Catholic Church over priest's abuse. I have one thing to say about this. Let's set a new record. So, a jury awarded $500,000 in punitive damages against a Roman Catholic religious order over a priest's abuse of a schoolboy who is now 68, Rod McLeod. And he was abused, more than 50 times by a priest. I can't remember what the order is. I know it's up here somewhere. The Basilians. Never heard of them. But yeah, it's so this is the punitive damages. Then that was on top of the $2.5 million that was awarded for the actual abuse. So this is in Ontario, and this occurred in between 1964 and 1967. So quite old. Far too long, or 63 and 67. So far too long ago for any charges to be laid. But what's the term? Tort courts.
Statute of limit.
No, the statute of limitations. Yeah, but that's for the criminal. But there's no statute of limitations on damages, seeking damages in a suit.
Oh.
Yeah. There have been at least 17 lawsuits. Gee whiz. You know, this was ubiquitous. This actually had a name in the Catholic Church called the system. And it was where the bishops shuffled priests around so that it would kind of spread out the damage, and it wouldn't be localized in one place, and not that it was in one place, but for any particular priest, I suppose. But when you've got like 6 or 7% of your priest cohort that is, predilection for pedophilia. Oh man, how many priests are in Canada?
Enough.
Too many. Well, it's way too many, of course. What was it in? Okay, have you ever seen Spotlight, which is won the Academy Award a couple of years ago for Best Picture? I loved it. You haven't seen it? You have to see it. It's Spotlight.
Adding it to my list.
That is a movie you must see, and it was the first. It was one of the very first exposés on the Catholic Church and pedophilia, and it was in Boston. And Spotlight was a particular news group within I can't remember what newspaper it was, but in Boston, and they were the first to expose the priestly pedophilia and the shuffling of priests around in Boston. Yeah. It's a really good film. It was a surprise winner of the Academy Award for Best Picture that year. It was like 2016, I think. 2016, maybe 2015. You seriously?
Well, it's a documentary.
Seriously?
Is it on Netflix?
No, I'm not on Netflix. I must have seen it online
Good
somehow.
news, everyone!
Yeah. Wow!
What was that soundbite?
Well, there's
Good
this one.
news, everyone!
Wow! Yeah, there's something. Yeah. Wow! I can't believe it. Unbelievable. We have found something that Christine has seen. That is apropos. Okay.
Documentary.
Yeah. Well, it isn't a documentary, but it's a
more journalistic
expose.
Well, it was a dramatization of the exposition of this.
Right.
Really good. What is? I can't remember the guy who plays the Hulk in the X-Men thing. What's his name?
Okay.
What's his name? Yeah. I can't remember.
Bruce
he starred in it.
Maybe I saw something about that movie that was in the news as opposed to.
Oh no!
Okay.
No! Fail.
Oh well. Yeah.
Okay, it's on my list.
Yeah. Done. Yeah. That gets the loser button. Yeah.
Better than me though. Ahead of me.
But yeah, okay, yeah, I highly recommend the movie. It's very good. I have it on DVD.
Well, I just can't myself get over the hypocrisy of, pious are beyond reproach. They hid this, so they're so pious, and it just allowed it to continue for so long.
Well, they put the image of the church ahead of the people that they purported, whose welfare they purported to look out for, and that is. No, sorry. That's... Yeah, I don't know why anybody's still Catholic. I just don't get it. I do not get it. How do you shuffle that under the rug? I don't get it. I mean, you could... And
okay, so like I think about something like if you're a coach or something like that, there's a pretty good chance if you're a pedophile, you're going to want to be a coach or, work with
or a
young children
teacher
something, right?
Yeah.
But
access
with
to
the
kids.
church, this is systemic throughout possibly centuries and internationally.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Right? As opposed to, okay, so there's just this one person who didn't properly get checked, and not that that's okay, obviously, but, people are going to slip through the cracks. But the Catholic Church is it's enshrined somehow in a really fucking sick way.
Yeah.
It's like a unshown epidemic. I'm afraid of how many victims there actually are. I'm afraid to even try to guess.
Yeah, like it reminds me of when the U.S. military found out that some of the people that they were fighting alongside were raping little boys and stuff like this, right? Mm-hmm. And they were told just be quiet. That's part of their culture, right? Huh. So you can clearly that religion forgives it. So what's within? It's. I'm sorry, I got to say it. It's somehow
it's
integral
depraved
to their religion. They've somehow given themselves a pass for this behavior in the higher echelons. Or whatever, right?
And a weekend at some retreat cures it. I'm like, no, come on. Have you seen some of the testimony from some of the priests that actually committed the acts? It's really. I've seen video testimony, and it's like, wow, you don't even have a clue that you were doing something totally evil. Like, it's just not a clue.
No kidding.
I don't use the E word very often.
Yeah. Somehow they've been, what do you call it? What's the word I want to use? Groomed, I suppose, to believe that.
Yeah, and they do the grooming themselves.
Yeah. To believe that they're above the law, that this is somehow justified.
Yeah.
Well, they probably blame the victim.
Well, they do too, don't they? Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody wants to phone in, I'm opening up the line. It's phone in at toll-free 1-587-288-1067. Or you can Skype us at the Legion of Reason and do it that way.
There's no activity.
There's no activity at all. Maybe nobody knows.
We've got 2 on Facebook.
And you're probably one.
2 on Skype, but nobody's saying hello.
You mean YouTube?
Sorry, YouTube.
Yeah. Oh well. So the last story we have is from Saudi Arabia. Another atheist, Ahmad al-Shamri. He renounced Islam and uploaded his views on social media, and he got a visit by the religious police in 2014, and he's been sentenced to death for a non-crime, a crime of believing or disbelieving.
I posted that in 3 areas, and in 2 of those areas, I actually had people arguing in favor of, it's their culture and this
cultural relativism.
Like you're sitting here justifying somebody being murdered for the use of words. There's a petition. I think it's the the Atheist Republic that's put it out, if I'm not mistaken, to sign. If you want to share that in the links, I put it on my Facebook page and elsewhere. So the guy, he's Ahmad al-Shamri. He's reportedly in his early 20s and comes from the city of Hafar al-Batin, located in Saudi Arabia's eastern province, and he initially pleaded insanity, saying that he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. I'm not sure how that helps in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the death sentence right there.
Yeah, if you're adding to it.
Yeah, you're digging a hole. You're digging a hole. His lawyer sucks. Just don't do that.
Yeah, really.
There's things you don't admit to in Saudi Arabia. One is rape. You don't get, if you're a woman and you're raped, don't admit. Bad idea.
Don't complain.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll get out in jail.
Get out of there and then go to the media. But don't do it there, because as we've seen with other foreigners, they've been charged with having sex out of marriage, which is, of course, it's absolutely asinine. And I don't know. What do you say to that kind of barbarism? Misogyny doesn't even cover it as a word.
It's beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been
Hey, I mean, there are people here that don't want to have sex outside marriage, and that's fine. As long as you're not going around, that's your opinion. You keep it to yourself. You be monogamous or whatever the hell, right? But to impose it on people with a death penalty.
Yeah. No kidding. I know if you did you see the comments on the Facebook page? Like, and
no,
that I posted?
On the Legion of Reason.
Yeah.
I can never say it.
I got one comment, and basically, I apparently I cannot say this is wrong because there are executions going on in Texas.
What?
Seriously, seriously.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
I mean, the two aren't correlated, but there are executions going on in Texas.
But how? Because I don't denounce.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, it's a two coke argument.
Because of sex outside of marriage.
And I don't appreciate the fact that they have the death penalty in Texas either.
Yeah, exactly. And I said that. I said I'm against the death penalty in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a false equivalency.
Yeah, it is a false equivalency because it's actually a complete category error because in one case, they are doing things like executing people who are mentally ill and who are underage. And I totally think that's wrong. But they're not doing it as a pogrom like Saudi Arabia is. If you're an atheist, they are trying to exterminate atheists. Okay, and I mean exterminate in the extreme possible, most extreme possible sense. That's not the same thing. Okay, that's a social issue whether they have capital punishment for the most heinous crimes in the United States. That's a social issue and an internal issue. This one crosses borders. This is a human rights issue. Yeah, I think that actually, I think that executions in Texas is also human rights issue, but it's not at all the same level of. This is like, as if it's gasking the Jews. Same thing. This is that kind of level of genocide. It's just that people are smart enough to not
shut the fuck up.
Keep their mouths shut. Do you really think that the number of atheists in Saudi Arabia is any different than any other country? Well, okay, Iceland, different, but they're a bunch of atheists. But they believe in gnomes.
They believe in fairies.
Yeah, it's like, you Icelanders, Jesus Christ. Anyway, they have a government. They have an actual government thing where if they're building roads, they have to. Look at the effects it has on gnomes. I'm just like, you're kidding me? Well, it's a zero-sum game, right? Whatever. This is a completely different level of heinousness.
Well, it violates the UN Charter of Human Rights.
Oh, since when has Saudi Arabia been worried about that?
Whatever that diplomat that's the chair is. From Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yeah.
Signatory to the Declaration of Human Rights. Then you best believe in freedom of expression and freedom of religion, or from religion, as I stated earlier, because that's what the fucking whole point of that organization is to uphold bloody human rights.
Yeah, but these people want to make blasphemy a crime under the United Nations Charter, and it. It's a joke. It makes it. That's unreal. It just gives ammunition to those who think that United Nations is a joke. When it could work, it could work. It takes time for things to change. That's the take-home message, I guess. But this is a shame.
Yeah, it doesn't take time for things to fall backwards too, though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Jeez.
Yeah, there's
progresses global community, and then
that's
it's
right.
like,
well, there's no reason to believe back. Well, that's the thing. There's no reason to believe that progress is monotonically increasing. And the future, we cannot predict the future from the past. You just can't, except in the very, very short term. Who says that the United States isn't going to break up into a bunch of little regions and fall apart? You know, I mean, it actually kind of looks like it. You know, it might happen, right?
You got California over there. You got Texas over here. You've got
Hawaii. Right?
Yeah. That's all I got for tonight. Now, Saudi Arabia, stop executing people everywhere. Stop executing people. Just stop doing it.
Yeah.
This is barbaric, but this is extremely barbaric in Saudi Arabia. And yes, I do have the moral high ground. I have the moral right to say this is wrong. I don't understand that this commenter, because Texas has executions, I can't say this is wrong. That's ridiculous. It's like saying. It's like saying...
I'm sorry, that's when you can invoke the UN Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah.
And if Saudi Arabia is a signatory to that, which they obviously are, then...
Yeah, but they're trying to change the Charter or the Declaration of Human Rights.
Yeah,
what amounts to
you know, like, that's
what they want.
Their culture and that's their laws and blah, blah, blah.
I hate
I
that.
don't give a rat's ass.
Cultural relativism, disgusting. Yeah, to me, saying that I cannot say that this is wrong is like an oncologist telling an oncologist that he or she cannot treat a patient's glioma, brain tumor, because they don't specialize in lung cancer. Sorry, that's just bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not against. I'm against cancer, and I'm against the death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, whatever. That's just absolutely absurd. Anyway, I'm done. I'm finished. Holy shit! An hour and a half. I was trying to keep this like to an hour. You know.
Well, one last comment. Did you hear what the UCP did today?
No.
About GSAs? They voted to make part of their policies that if a child comes out or joins a GSA or comes out to a teacher, the parents will know. So if your child is in a school and UCP is running things and they join a GSA, the parents will know about it.
Yeah,
okay, that's... I know what GSA is, but what's UCP?
United Conservative Party of Alberta. The right wingers.
Yeah.
Okay. And GSA is just for the benefit of our audience.
Yeah. Gay Straight Alliance.
Gay Straight Alliance. So children, again, they talked about parental rights.
Yeah, the whole idea behind GSAs is that people who are, you know, LGBTQ can actually join and discuss the fact that they can't discuss it with their parents. Jeez.
Yeah, and that's like a legitimate use of a safe space, right?
Yeah, that's a real safe space, not like the cookies and Play-Doh at universities. Yeah, you can just take that and stick it. But anyway,
they should be adopting out kittens while they do that. Just have a thought.
Can't have any of mine. No. We're up to 12 now. You know that, right?
Yes. Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy cat people.
I think I said that I used that as a bargaining chip to get a bass guitar. Because I really wanted one.
Sorry. About politics again, with Mandel becoming the leader of the Alberta Party. It's part of his policy that he's big on school choice, maintaining publicly funded Catholic education in Alberta.
Oh, to hell with him.
So that's the Alberta Party.
Yeah, they're going downhill.
Yeah, Alberta Party has gone completely backwards. They're practically the UCP too.
Yeah, that's not right.
No, and it's Mandel wants to privatize healthcare, wants to privatize this.
Son of a bitch.
So I'm sorry to say, but the Alberta Party and the UCP both together should join together now. They did talk about uniting the right.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, the good news is that I was going to say that this is a boon for the NDP, but I'm not so sure. This is a pretty
let's hope they
right-wing
split
province.
the vote so that we don't get Mr. Publicly funded Catholic education school choice or Mr.
Or douchebag.
Homophobe.
Yeah.
Either way, again, not progressing, going back.
I guess we're due for an election next year.
Yes, that's why this worries me so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Conservatives run on their economic platform and kind of
there's always the
bury
liberals.
their social.
No. After today,
Like Harper
it's not buried.
There's always the liberals.
Yeah.
Oh, they love Harper here. Come on.
Burning.
Sometimes people are willing to give a pass if they think the economic policies are better to the...
Economic policy? We have the lowest taxes in Canada.
And
still, they want to cut everything. We could have leaders of education. We could have had...
People will turn a blind eye to the fact that people hold abhorrent social issue views in favor of economic... You know what I mean? It's okay. I agree with them on this issue, but look at Trump.
Let's scrap education in favor of lowering taxes. Hello, we could have had so many students coming here for education. Instead, they cut. What Klein did was reprehensible, and I'm sick of it. We were the richest province in Canada. For how long, and what do we have to show for it? Where did all that money go? It's corrupt. The PCs are corrupt. The Conservatives are corrupt. All this money went where?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And that's economically responsible? Bullshit.
No, I totally agree with you.
Liars. Oh.
No, I'm totally...
For 40 years.
I'm just thinking of some of the reasons that I remember people voting for Harper for, right? He's got a good economic platform, but they had no idea about his history with what the hell was that super right-wing Christian party here. I can't remember.
Basically UCP. A reform party.
Yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, start paying attention.
People just kind of turned a blind eye because he ran on his economic platform. And
so-called economic. It was bullshit.
Well, I agree.
I'm so tired of their crap.
Anyway.
So there's my rant.
Let's call it. Yeah, you got a good rant in there. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
We are
advocates.
Okay. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I don't know what we're having. I'm going to have to get a hold of Elio. I can't remember his last name to get a hard date for him being on, and we'll see about some other people.
Tim Caulfield will join us.
Tim Caulfield. That'd be good.
Future. And I was thinking, given that Dawkins and Carolyn Porco are coming in October, maybe we could have. Maybe Robin Blumner, who's the lead of CFI and RDF. Maybe she'd be willing to.
Sure, if you can swing it, go ahead.
Or even Pangburn. Have you contacted Pangburn?
No, I didn't even know Pangburn was a real person until recently. So, anyway.
Okay.
Anyway,
let's try it.
Sure, yeah. We're going out. This is it. Adios. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening, and
adios.
See you in a couple of weeks.
As I say to my parents.
You've been listening to the Legion of Reason Diversion, coming to you from Alberta, Canada. If you enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing to our bi-weekly podcast on iTunes and other podcatchers. Even better, subscribe to our YouTube live sessions where you can join in on the discussion. Thanks for giving us a listen.